We just completed the fifth straight month of stock prices going up, and it was a great 5 months. Just the appreciation is over 26, 27%. It's just been a positive month after positive month. And if you look at the last 16, 18 months, it's been generally an up market, which has been really rewarding to holders of stocks. It's just some stocks just taken off. Meta, as an example, has just really taken off. And this is a lot of fun, but it gets to a point in time where I get really nervous that this market's going to correct, because markets tend to correct when prices get too high. It's just normal. And we can go back to 2023. We had a midsummer month lowering of stock prices in general, and then we finished with a flurry. In 2022, we saw that the S&P was actually negative. The NASDAQ was very negative. So not too long ago, we had a severe correction to stock prices. So when's the next one going to come? I don't know, but I can tell you that we're closer to it than we were before. And the reason I say that is these stock prices keep going up, and investors will probably want to take profits. Will probably want to diversify. Investors know that there's going to be a day of reckoning when the stocks are just going to begin to fall, and they're not going to stop falling until if they fall 15, 20% or so, maybe even more if there's some bad news mixed in it. So it's not a matter of predicting. It's just a matter of being ready. It's almost like being ready for a disaster. When that happens, what do I do? So this video, I wanted to just share some of the data that I'm seeing that I believe shows that, hey, we are setting ourselves up to have a pretty good correction, and that's just normal. And then what to do when that correction happens, which is really continue to buy into companies that I believe in. I already have the plan. It's the plan that I buy stocks every year. I buy stocks that are discounted. And if a correction comes, that means the discounts are going to be even better. So it's actually good news. I like the saying that Warren Buffett says that in down markets and really bear markets, he says it's interesting that if you were to use the analogy of a department store, when a department store puts all their prices on sale and they have like severe sales, like, 60% off in the stock market, all the customers would be running out of the store. They don't want to buy any merchandise because it's really discounted. And that's the fear that happens in a correction, where Warren Buffett believes that's when you should be greedy, is when everybody's fearful. He also says that you should be fearful when everybody's greedy. And I think we are being greedy, or the stock market is being greedy. And examples of that are stocks like Nvidia. It is just going parabolic, and other AI stocks are going parabolic. To me, that is signs and evidence that there's a lot of greed in the market currently. That just can't continue. So let me show you some data, and then I'll form some conclusions and let you know what one investor is doing, what my journey as an individual value investor is all about. My intent is to grow my portfolio and make money every year. Over the past 5 years, the S&P has done well. It's up 81%. And we saw that overall it's a up market if you look at the last 5 years, but we've had moments where the market really corrected. Here is the COVID year. It went down dramatically. Everybody was afraid, what's going to happen. And then it really rose. And then in 2022, we had a very good correction in the S&P, about 24% down. So that was a pretty good correction. Ever since then, we're up 46% on the S&P from, I would say, the fall of 2022 up to this point. So it's been a really nice rise. So I'm expecting that we're going to see a correction. We saw a correction not too long ago, starting in July 28th, 23, up until about October 27th. We saw a 10% correction, and now we're way above that level. So, can we see a 10, 15, 20% correction? Absolutely, in 2024. I think at some point, investors are going to get to the point where they want to take profits. I mean, you can ring the cash register and really get that profit. It doesn't count. You could see a stock go up and go down, and if you did not sell that stock when it was up, it doesn't count, because your stock is worth the current stock price. So I think a lot of investors like myself, I take profits from time to time and really lock in a gain on a particular stock. It's fun to have stocks where I've already recovered my full investment, and now I'm just, I have stocks that basically were given to me for free. So some of that mentality is going to come into the market in 2024, where investors are going to begin to exercise some of their sales so they can recognize some of those profits. I'm not the only one that thinks that we're in a greed period in the stock market. There's a lot of press that are covering the stock market that believe that stocks are way too high. And here's a greed index from the CNN business website. And I agree with this, that, hey, there's probably a lot of greed out there, probably some sectors more than others, but I think we are in a zone of greed. If you look at how much higher the S&P is trading above the 125-day moving average, it is fairly separated. And I could see us correcting 10, 20% in 2024. How do I prepare for the coming correction? Now, I don't know when it's going to come, but I could tell you that I could exercise, some precaution at this point to be ready. One of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to take profits on some of the stocks that I have really good gains on. And there's two reasons. One, just to lock in that profit. And two, to have capital ready. So when stock prices do fall, I'm that much more prepared to take advantage of it. I know it's a move that takes some of my money out of the market, but I'd hate for, stock prices to really begin to fall. And then it's really hard to get out of positions when a stock maybe drops 5% in a day. It's always harder to sell that stock on a day like that versus when times are calm, trying to get out of positions in a systematic way, in a really organized way. So I'm going to sell some stocks just to lighten up certain holdings, especially ones where the gains are just phenomenal. Um, and the second thing I'll be ready with is, letting some of my bonds um, go to maturity, and I'll take that capital and get it ready, because I think we are going to have a correction. There's just no way around it. It's just when it's going to happen, and as soon as it happens, I think a lot of bad news will fill the airwaves. CNBC, all the different Bloomberg, television. They'll all be talking about why the correction was needed and how far it's going to go down. There'll be lots of news released and so forth. So we'll see when it happens, but I'd like to be prepared, somewhat of like being, prepared for a natural disaster. In this case here, we know it's going to happen. It's not a matter of if it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. And I think as the stock market continues to climb, it makes the likelihood that much higher. On this channel, it's really about one investor. I'm a value investor, up there in age. I'm 55, been investing for a while. It's about one investor just sharing a journey and sharing experiences, some successes and failures as well along the way. I'd love to hear what you think of the market. Do you think it's going to correct? Do you think it's too expensive? Do you think it's going to go up higher? I'd love to hear whatever comment you have. Please leave a comment on this video. Would love to hear from the different viewers on what you think is going to happen. I definitely stated what I think is going to happen. We'll see how correct or incorrect I am in the month of April. I appreciate you watching the video, and I really hope you found it interesting.